Hello. Hi everyone, I'm MadfishMagpie. Welcome to the stream. We're going to be painting again, session 2. This was our fun landscape, No Man's Sky inspired landscape from last time. I'll hold it up a little bit closer so you can see how much fun we had. So we did kind of a yellow turf with purple, not foliage, these are mineral deposits. But we got a little diplo and some landscape formations. We had a little base here, and of course, a nice NPC player zooming in to check everything out. Hi, Bobby Demon Lemon. Hi. Yep, please feel free to comment, you guys. While I'm painting, I will take time to catch up and see who's following along and enjoying. So we're going to do a whole new painting. My canvas is a little smaller this time, just slightly. And again, you can use anything. I'm still using the thin ones. There's those thicker canvases. Really, anything can be a canvas. Your face can be a canvas if you have face paints. So follow along with whatever you have if you can. Last time, we tackled straight lines by using something that is firm and straight. And, you know, some people can just do a straight line, no problem. But this tool, any tool, can help you figure that out. Today, we are going to conquer our fear of circles. Today's painting will be ring themed. We're going to go with No Man's Sky, like rings around the planet, and those planet features, the big structural rings in the landscapes. So that's going to be super fun. Hey, Meow 10. Oh, thank you, Bobby Demon. Meow 10, remember to smoosh the like, everyone. Yes, thank you so much. She's so great. You know, while you're liking my channel or this episode, like Meow 10. Go check out her channel, subscribe. She is putting out some great videos on No Man's Sky and how to succeed in the game. I've definitely taken a ton of her advice. So go check out Meow 10's channel. And then also, you know, just quick shout out to my SO, Damash Smash. Check out his channel too. He's streaming No Man's Sky in VR. Super fun, among other games as well. So we'll get rid of this guy and throw up our new canvas. And I want to show you the tool we're going to use today that's going to make circles a breeze. Oh, where did I put it? Oh, I know where I put it. I'll be right back. I'm back. I was gonna wash it because it's just a coffee can. But that's okay. Our painting might smell like coffee. Hey, a couple more people jumping on. Hey, Rayette. And yeah, oh, thank you. The painting from last week did turn out really beautiful. Oh, you guys are too sweet to me. Oh, cool. Thank you for playing the elevator music while I was gone. So this guy is going to be super helpful to us because it has a ring and it's pretty big. It's a nice big one, which I wanted for the sky that we're going to do. I'm actually going to use the can part and not the lid part because this is a little flimsy and it could get out of your control really quickly. There's also not a lot to grab onto in terms of using it as a stencil on the canvas. I just can tell I'm going to drop that everywhere. So this part gives you something substantial to hang on to and stamp your circle onto your canvas. I'm also going to be using this familiar device, You guys know what that is. It's a mason jar screw top. So these are great. A lot of people have these just lying around. Really anything circular. And with acrylic paints, they're so easy to wash off that, you know, even using a cup, a glass, this is great because you have 2 different sizes circles on something like this. A plastic cup, anything that is a circle, you guys, that you don't mind putting paint on can be a stencil / stamp for creating guidelines and helping. It can be so scary to try to make a circle, and people are like, what? I have to paint a circle? Ah! And they think, you know, you have to just be perfect and be able to eyeball a circle. Well, you don't have to. You just don't. Cheat. Oh yeah, Dimash. Dimash, by the way, guys, he is commenting as Feather today because somehow I have mistakenly blocked him from commenting as Dimash. My big fat fingers or something. I really don't know how that happened or how to fix it. So if any of you are familiar with what might have gone wrong and how I can go into YouTube and rectify that, we want to get Dimash here commenting. So, we'll figure it out. Just reading your comments real quick. Hey guys, I'm so glad you're all here. Thanks for joining. I'm so excited for today's painting. We're gonna use some beautiful colors. So let's get started. The sky is going to be like a pretty orangey, peachy color. So we're gonna achieve that by either mixing it or if you already have something like that, kind of a sunset orange. So I'm gonna use yellow and some red, and I'm gonna mix those 2, see what kind of orange I can come up with, and then throw in a little white probably. I actually have a little bit of yellow already on my palette from an art lesson I was just giving. For $20 an hour, I could teach you some painting personally, privately. You've got some Zoom action going on. Basically, all you need is Zoom and Venmo if you want to hire me as your personal art trainer, coach. I'm really not that amazing, but I like doing it. And as long as you're not trying to be like Rembrandt or Degas or something, I'll do just fine for you. Right, it says, it should be in your channel settings for chat. The settings will be in YouTube Studio. Okay, chat settings in YouTube Studio. I will check that out. And I'm like, my feeling is that I probably will have to do it on my laptop and not my phone. I haven't been able to figure it out by just going through my phone. So this is gonna be tough to see, but let me try to bring this up for you. I've got a piece of paper again as my palette, so it's really flippity floppity. But when you're mixing paint, I like to use the stick end of a brush, preferably one of the plastic ones because they're easier to clean. The wooden ones with the painted stems, you know, you get those too wet too often and that paint will just chip off and break off. So we're getting a nice like orangey color going. Just mixing some red and yellow. Okay. Super cool. You know, and sometimes I leave things not thoroughly mixed because it can be fun to mix on the canvas itself and mix as desired. Sometimes that nice like streaky two-tone look is great for a background. So that's looking pretty good. I am going to add some white to it, lighten it up, get it a little more peachy. And hopefully you remember that you have a paper towel nearby. You'll want paper towel. You'll also want a cup of water for your dirty brushes. And an apron or clothes you don't care about. Bottom lines. That's where it starts. Swirly swirl. Yep. You are that good. Oh, thank you. You know, my love of art started when my mother bought me a book about Claude Monet. And the book was really cute. It was actually about a little girl around my age who had gone to Monet's home and the museums that have a lot of his paintings. And so it was like a history of who Monet was and his works, but seen through the eyes of a person my age. And so, I don't know, I just fell in love with him. I think his, you know, the story of how he like went blind in his old age and still painted. He was still painting his garden, the places he loved. And though they totally look like a blind man painted them, they're still so heart-wrenchingly impactful in that, like, he could never stop. My parents said I draw really good last time, and when I think about it now, was drawing stickmans. Hey, you know what? That's the other thing. You can follow along with me, but please don't try to do what I'm doing. You have your own natural aesthetic and style, and maybe stick people are your thing. Honest to God, I think they're some of the funnest pictures when you just see a really simple drawing. So, stick figures are still art. That's my point. Oh, you blowed I got out of the water. That's so kind. Exaggerated, but very kind. Ooh, I'm getting a really pretty peach color now, you guys, adding in some white. So I'm going to start throwing it on the canvas. Let's get going. I'm using a bigger brush because we got a lot of space to fill up. And I like to keep my brush strokes in a consistent direction. You can sort of layer on your paint in multiple directions. You know, I can go down on the sides like this. Oops, caught a little bit of blue on my brush. We'll see what happens. Woo, kind of made it weird. But yeah, so if you want to go all crazy directions, this is sort of how kids paint. That's fine as an initial getting the paint on the canvas. But then once it's on there and nice and wet, you want to go back over and smooth it out. There we go. So peachy, not quite pink. Just a real nice. See, I put a bunch of light in here. I'm getting some natural sunlight from this direction and a big bright studio light here. But I'm wondering if I'm blowing it out. I don't know how these colors are coming across to you guys. Pink! Yes. It's only because you're biased. Yeah. I hope anyone who's watching me is a little bit biased. Probably why you're not going and watching something else. So thanks. Love you guys. Dimash, do you draw that good? Like Madfish? No way, right? You know, he has his own style too, which I enjoy. He's great at like Pictionary, or there's a really fun drawing game called Oodles of Doodles that I really enjoy. It's quick, it's fast, effective. Dimash is effective and efficient at drawing. Wow, this is really turning a little bit almost beige. We're getting into the beige realm. So that means I need a little more red and white. More pink. More pink! I'm sorry, I'm obsessed. I just love it. Honestly, it's not even my favorite color, but I've just been gravitating to it. I think partially because when I started playing No Man's Sky, pink was, you know, it's one of the few options to feel a little bit girly in the game. Purple as well, but my good friend Meow Meow 10's got purple covered. So I'm just mixing a little red and white together, get a little more pink back into the sky. So it's a little more peachy again and less beige, brown, tan. One of these days, I think we'll do a little bit of a challenge and do a monochromatic planet. I've got this great planet. I like to call it my film noir planet because it's all black and white except for little hints of reddish tones. And I'm going to do about 3/4 of the way down. We'll leave the bottom for our terrain and the silhouette against the sky. Beautiful. That's a little more than 3/4, but that's okay. I just want to get it all the way down there so I have the freedom to put my terrain wherever I'd like. Oh, great. You guys are so active in the chat. It's going to be tough for me to keep up with you. But yeah, Dimash is very gifted on the stage. It's his creative thing. I'd love to see you perform, Dimash. Mama 10, great. Well, hey, if Dimash reaches 100 subs, we're going to answer the Captain Steve Dance Challenge. So that's a little bit of performance there. Oh, yeah, maybe Dimash could make food art because he's good at cooking. Absolutely. He's going to vlog the making popular foods from different video games. I've been so excited. Every time he talks about this, I'm just like, yeah, I want some Skyrim pot pie. I'm all about the purple. Yeah, you are, girl. Oh, Witcher. Nice. Cooking stream, Dimash. Yes. Oh, what will be it? That will be cool. Yeah, it'll be really cool. And I love that. Hopefully I get to be the guinea pig and try it out. All right, so we've got our background sky colors all drying, and we're going to go back in a moment, but we want to let that dry. Give it a little bit of a moment to at least get somewhat dry. It doesn't have to be fully dry for this next step, but just enough that we're going to go over with some white to create the planet in the sky that we're seeing from the terrain of the planet we're on. So we'll have white get ready on your palette. Give this a few moments to set just slightly. I'm not going to wait for it to fully dry because I do want to have some nice texturing and blending of the nebula reflecting off of that planet. Oh, so pretty. You guys, if you ever have an amazing planet that you took a picture of or a screen capture and you want to see a painting inspired by that planet that you found, please send it my way. I would love to be inspired by you guys. That's going to be an epic vlog. Yes. Okay. Yep. And it will probably won't be live. You know, a lot of things can go wrong cooking in the kitchen. So yeah, we'll put that together. Try it out. Oh, your connection is bad. I'm sorry. I hope it catches up. So I'm going to wash this brush and switch to a new one. Or just stick it in the water. If you're done with the brush, just leave it in the water till you're done. But that helps keep the brush wet and moist so that when you go to wash them, they are not ruined. You can save all your brushes. They're one of the more expensive things to have to keep around. And if you ruin a brush and you're buying a new one, it's not cheap. So you want to try to make your brushes last as long as you can. Well, and this has now become official paintwear. Like I said, though, you know, especially if you're doing this as a hobby, you're going to want to have craft clothes, and you might want to feel a little stylish while you're wearing your craft clothes. So it's okay. Maybe pick a few nice things that you are excited about getting paint on. You know, Madfish, I have really nice NMS pictures in my Instagram. You might get some ideas on drawing. Yeah. Okay, cool. I'll check out your Instagram. I'm Ray Cobra also on there? That's the entertaining part, though. Just kidding, Damaj. Yeah, right? What if we like streamed live and the kitchen just caught on fire? No. Let's not wish that on anybody. So I did sort of spruce up the studio here a little bit. I have my materials and stuff nearby just in case I need anything on the fly. And I'll just have to figure out this lighting thing. Hopefully it's all right. So let's see, it's a little wet. One thing, oh, here's some advice on gauging wetness of paint. A lot of, kiddos or first-time painters, you'd be like, is it wet? You poke it. Well, then you're gonna leave, if it's not wet, you're gonna pull paint off of it and leave fingerprints. So just find an angle of light to see it, and it'll be shiny. You can see the wetness because it shines. So yeah, you'd be surprised. Even like 12-year-olds I've taught before will be like, is it dry? I'm like, no, just use your eyes. Yep, it's Rayet Cobra. Rayet_Cobra. Great, on Instagram. I will check that out. Awesome. So you're gonna want your coffee can coming up here. And we're going to, this is kind of the focus of the painting, is the planet in the sky with the rings. So yeah, poke, poke. Yep, that's kiddos for you. And I'm realizing now I might need 3 different sizes of circles, because this is going to be my rings. So I'm going to use this. I have a big jar here for my big tall brushes. And this has a nice circle too, which is slightly, the reason why this is going to be perfect is because it is slightly smaller than the coffee can. So this will be the planet, this can be the rings, and then the mason jar lid, it'll be the rings on the planet's landscape. So much fun. Rayet says, are you painting wet on dry, wet on wet, or dry on dry? I studied this in school before. Yes. Great question. We use a few of those techniques all over, just when we need them. So this that I just did, the background, I actually did dry on dry. I didn't wet the canvas prior to putting any paint on. And because I'm waiting for this to dry, but not all the way, this next step will be wet on wet. Wet on half wet. And I limit my water usage for when I really need to blend something, especially now because my water is a little dirty. I will kind of steer clear of using it if I don't have to. And then last time we talked about how there is some debate about whether or not you need to prep the canvas with anything. Last time I prepped it with water. You can do that. Your painting won't last as long in terms of like centuries. It might not be around 200 years from now. It might degrade. So we're doing this for fun. I'm not, also we're in the middle of a time where funds are tight and you might not be able to go to Joann's and get a whole thing of gesso. And so gesso is the name of a clear acrylic paint that is used to prep the canvas, just like primer for makeup. Just sort of fills in the pores, gets the pores activated and ready to take the makeup without hurting the canvas, just like your face for makeup. So gesso is a clear coat that allows for blending, kind of that wet on wet effect for the background. So you've already wet the canvas with an acrylic product. And so it binds to the colors that you're putting on after. It's a great thing, you know, if you got it. So maybe in the future, we will make some of our own. There's DIYs on how to make your own gesso. And I'll look into that. But for today, we're just having some fun. So it's still a little bit shiny. It's getting dryish. And so we're going to move on to this next step, which is using the middle circle, not the largest or the smallest, the middle one, the Goldilocks one, to make the outline of our planet. So you're going to paint the rim of whatever circular object you're using. You can be kind of generous. Don't put too light of a layer on there. Otherwise, it'll dry. And it won't come off onto your canvas. So just throw that paint on there. Cool. And then find, visualize where you want it to go. And we're just gonna boop. Sweet. All right. There it is. So, and it's not perfect. You can see there's little gaps, but oh my gosh, what a great outline to be able to follow. So we've got a good guideline. And as long as we don't go like outside that circle, it's pretty safe, right? So we used white and the background's not dry, which is great, so that we can sort of blend and give this planet textural color that is reflecting the light of the nebula. So I'm going to take the same brush that I coated my jar in, and I'm just going to fill this in. I'm going to use a dabbing motion, just little tappy taps with my brush to fill in. I'm going to try to stay within the guideline I gave myself. And we're just dabbing lightly. And you'll see that as you go, as you're dabbing, not like that. You'll see that it blends. It's picking up the background color just a little bit. Now, if you do go outside just slightly, this line you made yourself, and you can pick up a little more white if you're like, oh, I like how that looks. I want a little bit more of a blend. If you do go outside the circle you made, don't worry, don't stress. I would leave it alone for the moment, and we can smooth it out later with our detail brush and a little bit of the similar-ish pink, peachy color from the sky. You just smooth it out. I'm going to bring this up close to you so you can kind of see how the dabbing and the blending all happen together at the same time. So here we are. And just got that little side corner to fit in. So yeah, as we dab, the two wet paints will blend and texture. And I like leaving some of the white paint on the rim unblended because that adds a nice highlight to the edge. If this gets too light, you're like, oh, the white paint has sort of taken over. I'm missing that peachy color a little bit. All you got to do is go pick some up from your canvas. You might still have some left over, which I do. And you can bring it back in. Oh, got a little red on there. That's fine. Blend it. Gives nice layers of color and texture. Cool. Beautiful. Yay. All right, we're gonna give that a second. I'll catch up with the comments here. All right, cool. So good to know. I've never done wet on wet. It's one of my favorites, to be honest. Madfish, do you make 3D art and craft about NMS? Example using clay or something like that. I'm willing to try. Sculpture is not my strength in terms of mediums. Painting is definitely where I'm most comfortable. But I do enjoy some clay stuff. I've done some things and they're cute. So yeah, maybe we'll do that. I'm planning down the road to do a painting tribute to Steve Z, the little tiny creature in the NMSA hub. That's called Steve Z. They're common, those little squat guys, and they kind of have like feathery things around their eyes. Oh, they're so adorable. And so I really want to do one of them eventually. She's going to be felting NMS figures for my eventual Patreon. This is true. Yes. In fact, so let me take that back. I have discovered that I'm actually best at sculpture if I'm using wool, because needle felting is basically sculpting with wool. And I never figured I would take to it, but I did. I actually needle felted a baby Yoda, and he turned out really great. Wow. The dabbing gives a nice planet surface effect. Yeah, exactly. Like craters and hillsides and mountains. Oh yeah, very nice Damage. Aw, Stevie's. Yeah, oh God, they're so cute. Great. So that's step 1 and 2. Actually, kind of 3. Next, we're going to do the rings around the planet. And we're not going to do a big, huge, thick one because we would actually need probably expanding coffee containers for many multiple rings. So we'll just do like a couple and see how it goes. We might even try some interesting techniques for faking a larger circle. So once again, we're going to need just some white. And you'll throw it onto your coffee can just like we did on the jar. So on the rim, paint the rim of your coffee cup, coffee container. This is great too, because if you have one of these that you use in your painting, you can also use it to store stuff. Paints or brushes or different tapes. You could actually store all of your ring tools in here. You know, just start collecting different sizes of rings and and keep them all in your ring jar. So we've got our white ring on the coffee can, and we're going to try to put the planet in the center as best we can. Boop. And I recommend once you commit, just commit. And you can kind of put pressure on all different sides, almost doing like a little pressure of circle. Oh, cool. I've got more rings. Oh my gosh. So this is the coolest. I should have thought about that sooner. But these are biscuit cutters. You know, my best friend Cook over there. He just brought these into me. You can buy these at the store, and look, you can make biscuits of all sizes. But actually, this would be perfect for making No Man's Sky ringed planets. Oh man. If he'll let me paint these, we could do another one. Maybe on next painting. We've already committed to this size of ringed planet, so these are a little smaller. I would probably make the planet like this size, and then use all of these to put rings out. So cool. You can just get these at the store, in the baking section, or a kitchen store, or wherever. Awesome. Thanks, Dimash. So here's our ring. I didn't get it quite totally perfectly centered. That's okay. Maybe we are looking at this from a weird angle, you know. Sometimes you look at the ring planets and you're looking at it and the ring is coming, you know, splitting that planet in half. So this is just more of a dead-on view, slightly askew, and that's okay. What I was going to say is you could paint this guy again and do one slightly adjusted, and we'll see how that goes. This is not the end of how we're going to do these rings. We're going to do some dry brushing next and fill it out a little bit. But I'm going to go ahead and try the can one more time. I'm going to adjust slightly this way. I don't know. Let's see. Ah, cool. That's nice. So we've got two fun ring guidelines over there. And I think that with a medium-sized brush, probably, I'm looking for a medium-sized brush that has some wiry bristles. When I'm doing dry brushing, I prefer the bristles that are a little more stiff. Cool, yeah, exactly. We are helping save the planet by painting with trash. Madfish is reusing unused items. Yay, go green. Yes, green, green, green. So sweet, Dimash. He is. He's the sweetest. So using your white, I'm going to use this coffee lid now to show you how to prepare for dry brushing. So I put some white paint on my brush, and then I'm going to dab off some of the paint before I start using it on the canvas, so that there's only just a hint of paint on the brush. That's how you're going to get the most successful dry brushing. And I'm going to use the rings as a guideline, and we're going to lightly follow the guidelines of those rings we put on. And with dry brushing, you wind up with a brush stroke that's super, well, what it sounds like, dry. Kind of lightly put on so you can see the background coming through still. So that's the key with dry brushing, is to not overload your paint, your brush with paint, and not to put too much pressure in through the paintbrush when you're going. So just lightly follow those two rings you made. We're kind of just, in a way, blending them out. Now, it might be hard to see, but my wrist is adjusting the flat part of this brush. I'm turning with my wrist as I go, so that that flat edge of the brush is kind of maintaining a consistent contact with the canvas. If the peachiness takes over and you want a little more white, just grab some more white paint, dab off the excess so that you're still doing some dry brushing. Then you can go back to these areas that you're like, oh, it just needs a little bit more. A little more oomph. You can also, I like to sometimes use the stem end of the brush. So the stick, not the bristles, but the stick part, pick up a little paint, and you can even draw. This is, some people love drawing over painting. This is one way to feel like you're drawing, but with paint. And so this is gonna give some highlights to the streaks, the streaks of the rings themselves. Once you've got the area defined where you want your rings to be, this is a cool way to texturize the rings. And I'll hold this up close to you guys so you can see the effect in action. So if I'm drawing with this paint, you kind of scrape the background a little bit, and that gives it this cool texture. See? It looks neat. So I'm going to do that all the way around my rings. All right, let me see what you guys are saying here. Why don't Dimash try to explain the emojis this time? I think that's a fair trade-off. Come on, man, later. That's a great idea. Perhaps next time we will set that up. Cool, yeah. Oh, and I'm going to try to start remembering to say, whoa, man. Whoa, man, what a cool effect. Because my painting tutorials are called Whoa, Man, Sky. And it's a double entendre. It's a triple entendre, sort of. So one of the first people who got well known for painting with not just paintbrushes was Jackson Pollock. And he had his whole barn was his paint studio. He would actually paint with canvases, his huge canvases on the ground. And he would just walk around. You know, he's the guy who did a lot of splattery, throwing paint stuff. And he wouldn't always use brushes, or he'd use the ends of brushes. He'd use his dog's favorite stick. He'd use all kinds of stuff. And they've done analysis on his paintings because it was in a barn, and he did always have his dog with him when he was painting. His dog's hairs are in his paintings. There's dead bugs in his paintings because, you know, he's in a barn. He's throwing paint everywhere. So a fly comes along, poor little fly, gets hit by a drip of paint. He's a famous fly. Famous dead bug. Cool. So we've got some nice ring texture. I always wipe off the stem of my brush when I do that. Or you might get it on something you don't want it on. Cool. Yay. All right. So there's our planet in the sky. He's so pretty. So gorgeous. Yay. And I think let's put a little bit of cloud cover around this to sort of frame it so it's not just dead in the middle. What else is going on? It can be a little cartoony when you don't have environmental framing. This is the focus, but if it's just there by itself, almost looks out of place. I'm going to smooth this edge of the planet. I don't like how it looks. And actually, next week, I was thinking about switching to a fun project with watercolor. Something real simple. Something that I feel like, I could be wrong, but I feel like most people have an old thing of watercolors just lying around because they bought some for their kids in school and they use it all through the school year. So if you don't have acrylic paints and canvas, it might be hard to get some right now, but you might have some watercolors lying around your house and some crayons. And so for next week, we are going to work with watercolor and crayons and do a really cool outer space project with that. All right. All right, that's good. See, sometimes you just gotta like stop, let it sit, come back to it later. Revisiting, we call that. Especially if you're unhappy with how something looks, sometimes just leave it alone, let it dry. Think about it, you'll come back and be inspired later. Wow, so Jackson was all about the organic painting. Yep. Yeah. He was like, he just loved it. And that was unheard of to that point. Like, the art world was real snooty. And Jackson Pollock was like, I threw some paint on a canvas. What do you think? And it became world renowned. He was actually famous while he was alive, which is rare for a lot of artists. Gesundheit, thank you. Bless you. Thanks, guys. Whoa, man. I know. Whoa, man. Sneezing would be a perfect opportunity to say it. So we're focusing back on the clouds here. I'm going to make them a little bit white, and I have this pretty light blue that kind of looks like periwinkle to me, and I just love periwinkle. Periwinkle is one of those colors that you see in like Land's End catalogs. It's not quite purple and it's not quite blue. It's this perfect, precious mix of both. So our clouds today, because I think blue and orange are great contrasting colors together. So I'm going to use this periwinkle and some white, not totally blended, both on my brush. And we're going to throw some clouds just sort of around the edges of this planet. So, No Man's Sky clouds. They're so interesting, right? I always find this shape, this jutting one, kind of juts up. And I'm dabbing or scumbling to get these clouds in the sky. Whoa, man, I totally forgot last time I was talking about how I love to say the word scumbling while I'm scumbling or scumble. And I never did. And I forgot. I was having so much fun. I forgot to do it. But this is how I remember what scumbling is. You got to say the word while you do it. You're making tiny little circles and you say that you go scumble, 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 scumble. So each little circle you're making is the word. Scumble, 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 scumble. It's so much fun. You have to do it. Now, I'm getting a little bit of a dry brushing effect on the edges of my clouds. This would be one of those moments when I would maybe wet my brush a little bit because clouds are fluffy and wispy. And so if I'm not getting dry brushing is kind of the opposite of that. It definitely is soft. It's got a softer texture, but it's visually rough. And I think that clouds are a little more like ice cream. They're like smooth and flowy. So a tiny bit of water in your brush, you can go back over and scumble, and that will take that dry brushing look out of it. Gorgeous, gorgeous contrast. Blue and peach. Oh, you can never miss with that. OMG ice cream. Tell me about our idea for the table business, Mad. The table business. Oh, yes. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Dimash and I have a collection of tables because we thought it would be fun to paint them thematically. I actually did a whole table, still a work in progress, I would say, for my D&D playing that has all these different ecosystems and terrain on the whole table, just painted on there. And then I have a big rectangular plastic that I put square inch graph on. So you can move this clear piece of plastic anywhere you want on the table and have your battle areas for D&D battle on there. But then I had so much fun doing it. We thought, well, God, we could paint a whole table Kingdom Hearts themed, or, we're big fans of like Nintendo games, Zelda, Mario, Yoshi. Yoshi's my favorite. You can make it a business. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm missing some of the comments here. Boop. I will say that Madfish and I have painted many a set together and designed some really awesome wood floor designs for stage floors. Yes. We like painting big things. And yeah, so if you have a table that you want painted, or you want us to find you a table and paint it to a certain specification, we'll do it. I'm not sure how much that would be to ship to somebody, a whole table. That's definitely going to be part of the cost. Ice cream. I think Dimash got ice cream, right? Ooh, I love that color. Yes, ice cream that tastes like blank. Ice cream that tastes like feline liver. Just kidding. I think that's also in reference to a chat combo from the other day. So cool. I'm going to continue making a few more clouds here, you guys. I might do a few up top, and this landscape silhouette is still pretty low on the painting, so it's not our focus really. It's kind of just the icing on the cake. So these clouds, I am going to take a little bit of time with them, give them some good love. Dude, if clouds tasted like ice cream, I might even, do I want to overlap? Yes, I'm going to try it out. So just not the whole thing. I might just do just a little strategic overlap of that planet in the sky. Scumble, 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 scumble. Scumbling, scumbling, scumbling. Keep those paintings scumbling. I have to sing at least once to embarrass. Get a good dose of embarrassment in there for Dimash. It's good for ya. Sometimes when I'm painting clouds, because I have the same problem with stars. I think I talked about it before. I always want the stars to be like perfectly spaced out, so they wind up looking like polka dots instead of stars. Same things with clouds. I'm like, if I don't watch myself, they become a little uniform and a little all same shaped, and clouds don't usually do that. So bear in mind that we, as human beings, see shapes in the clouds all the time. So you might go, all right, my clouds are starting to look really similar, so now I'm going to make a cloud that looks like a train or a butterfly. And it just helps to kind of break things up and get it some variety in your clouds. This one over here is going to be a turtle. It might not look like a turtle to you, and that's just fine. Looks like a turtle to me. Scumble, scumble. Cool. Yeah, it's a turtle-like. Turtle-ish. This guy over here. And you really want to keep the colors not super blended with the clouds. As you're scumbling, if one color starts to take over, go compensate and get the opposite color and bring it back in. Cool. Okay, we'll do a couple more clouds here. I'm out of whites. Need more paint. Always better to have to need more paint than to have too much excess on your palette that you're going to waste and have to throw away. And it turns out so pretty when the little flecks of color that hasn't been blended come forward. We'll do some up in this upper sky. Maybe some really light little clouds that are just wisps of clouds that aren't fully formed yet. Or they're traveling to go meet up with another cloud nearby. These little itty bitty ones. Scumble, scumble. So I hope everyone's surviving, doing well. Painting is going to be something that I promise you, even if you don't think you're any good, the act of painting is relaxing. It gets you out of your head. It forces you to be in the moment. Hopefully, you know, if you're enjoying yourself or you get relaxed into it, then those things that you're planning to do, those things you did and didn't like how it turned out, that stuff fades away. It goes away for a little bit. Gives your brain a little break. And then you might be able to come back to the issues that you're facing right now with a fresh perspective. At the very least, a mind that hasn't worried about it for a moment. So you might get inspired or have a creative solution suddenly occur to you that you were stuck before. You were mired in the stress of the moment. And painting can really just give you that break. Purdy. It's purdy. God, I love these colors together. They're friends. And you see what I mean by like where the white is sort of flecking through. We aren't blending everything fully. Gives it a really nice look. Ooh. Hi, Planet Rue. Thanks for coming on. And you guys, really, you can watch these anytime, even if you miss the live stream. Get the materials you need and rewatch it again later. I'm just going to scroll up real quick, catch up with the comments while those clouds dry. Oh, wow, that sounds amazing. I think that's in reference to ice cream. Just do it, Dimash. Just eat the cream. Eat the ice cream. Just walk over to the fridge, Dimash. All right, good. Everyone's supporting him. I love this. Good. Oh, good. I'm glad you like the overlap, too. Space Turtle. Sorry I missed this session. Maxfield has been painting capes for the cats and it's getting out of hand. I'll catch you later. Great painting, by the way. Thanks. I know who you are, Planet Rue, and I'm happy to hear that Maxfield is painting something. And God, my cats need capes. The clouds just look amazing. Thank you. Yes, I'm really happy with how they turned out. Add a freighter. That's a cool idea. That could be one of our finishing touches. Awesome. Oh, Planet Rue. Yay, the cats escaped. Oh, bless their hearts. Those clouds are more clear than the ones in game. That's true. Yep. But you know what? Our my paintings tend to be impressionistic. Again, I said at the beginning of the stream, Monet was like my first favorite artist, the person that got me into even knowing or caring what art history was. And the best thing about Impressionism is it's your impression of what you're seeing and not exactly what you're seeing. That's why I like it. Good. So we got our clouds done. Now we're going to be thinking about what this landscape is going to be like. So last time we did a really stark black silhouette because it was a sunset. I don't think that this is a sunset. I think this is more of a daytime. So we are going to have a terrain with some color. And I want to make the color similar to this peach, but darker. Maybe a little more orangey, rusty color. But appealing, not like a gross rust, like corroded rust, more like a burnt umber. I don't know, that's a color. But you can see from our painting from last week that black is super great for a sunset. But we're just going to change it up a little bit. So still a silhouette, but we're going to use a darker orangish color, peachy orange still, but just darker, enough to contrast. So I'm going to, on my palette over here, this is where we mixed before. That was that peachy sky orange that I mixed up. It's all craziness now. So I'm just going to throw more red and yellow together in this area and see what color comes out. Yellow. Red. Normally when mixing with yellow, you want to always use some white because yellow on its own is a sheer paint. It's transparent. So if you're using just yellow on its own, especially if you don't have anything on your canvas already, like down here, we haven't put any paint on here yet. If I just took yellow and went over this, you would see the texture and the white of the canvas show through yellow. So if you're ever trying to make a nice, legitimate yellow color, throw some white into it. You can still use a lot of yellow if you want to maintain that kind of ducky yellow quality and not go into pastels, but you'll need something opaque like white to blend with yellow anytime you're blending with yellow. This time I'm using red, and red is an opaque color when it comes to paint, so we're good to go. I'm just gonna mix that yellow and red again. Oh yeah, I love orange. I used to not like orange as a little girl. I kind of felt like orange was a gross boy color, but learning about art and mixing colors has really changed how I feel about orange. Especially, like I said, the combination, the contrast of orange and blue can be so pretty. It's actually one of my favorite No Man's Sky building colors to work with. The blue with the orange in the center. That's a really cool one. Oh man, this orange is turning out perfectly. It did exactly what I wanted it to do, which was to be a darker orange but that still had kind of a peachy, yummy, delicious quality. But it is much, much darker. Where is my paper towel going? Ah. Cool. So here's the color. Nice and dark orange. We'll throw it on the canvas here and see. We're just going to give ourselves a platform of terrain, a border in this foreground. So when you've got a lot of paint on your brush, is a good time to hit the border, the top transition of the terrain, so that you can avoid any dry brushing. You want a nice, crisp, clean line at the top of your landscape terrain. So when you have more paint on the brush, that's easier to make that top line really crisp. When you start to see the dry brushing effect come in, you need more paint on the brush. Cool. And then once you got your border at the top done, you can just fill in. In many ways, this is almost a monochromatic painting because we're using a lot of the same orange, but with different qualities of that orange. And then just the contrast of the clouds makes it pop. I like that. Pretty. Oh, bye, Rayet. Have a good day. Gotta sleep. I get it. I hope my painting gives you beautiful dreams once again. It's 5 in the morning. Oh my God, go to bed. Do you work graveyard shift? My goodness. Just curious, Mad, have you done airbrush painting? I have not. I was trying to figure out this thing from Dimash with is umber. With umber. Anyway, no, I have not done airbrush painting. It looks really interesting, but very difficult and lots of equipment. Good night, Red. Oh gosh, Red, catch you some Z's, buddy. Thanks. Yes, I love the colors. The colors of this one are really turning out nice. I'm just gonna hit the bottom edge of my painting. Especially if you're painting on one of those thicker canvases, painting the edges as you go is a great way to have the painting can be hung on the wall. Like just painting the edges like that. Like here's, so this is a background for one of my students painting, teaching stuff that I'm doing. And these thicker canvases, you can see the edge, right? So if you paint as you go and you paint the edges, I haven't on this one, but then you can just hang that buddy on your wall just immediately. Framing can be a little expensive, so you can avoid having to spend that money by painting it. And it just looks real pretty on your wall. Maybe I'll do a video, like a content video. Quick one, quick little tutorial on, you know, ways to avoid framing your photo, painting. So we've got our nice contrasting, darker, rusty orange there, creating our landscape. And then we are going to put the circles, you know what I'm talking about. Last time we did the cubed plateaus that rise up out of the earth. And on this one, we're going to do the ring-themed planets. They tend to have kind of like a little crown at the top of them. So we'll use this to create our basic structure, and then the detail brush will go through and beautify them a little bit. So I'm actually, since Dimash brought me these, I'm going to assume that he's saying I can use these. And we'll use them to create perspective with these rings. not all of the rings will be super close to the viewer of the painting. So we'll use this one for the more up close ones, and then maybe a little bit smaller sized rings for farther away. Lesson in perspective. So here we go with our dark orange. Hopefully you made enough. If not, just make some more if you can. Never worry if you run out of a paint color you blended. As long as it wasn't too complex of a blend, you can usually remake. It won't be perfect. You're never going to get the exact same. But with Impressionist paintings especially, that's okay. You can have lots of different versions of the same range of color, and they'll look great together. So we painted the rim of our circle generously, but not sloppily. And we'll get a nice big ring. Over here where I don't have a cloud, we'll get our biggest ring. And I'm gonna overlap the bottom of the ring into the landscape we just painted. So it won't be a full circle that we see, but we see most of that circle. I'm putting some pressure on my canvas from behind as well. So I get a nice good outline. Great, cool. I will show you this up close. Yeah, perfect. That's so awesome. So that's going to serve as a guideline. Before we switch and start beautifying these, let's make a couple more. I'm going to do one more of that same size. We'll do this one. Also sort of close by its buddy. Maybe a little lower. Now, keep in mind, I am not twisting this in any way to try to get more paint. If I twist, I probably won't stay in the same place. It'll get real sloppy. Just press it on there like a stencil or a stamp, sorry, not a stencil. These could work as a stencil. You know, if instead of doing what I'm doing like this, you could put without paint on it, put the circle down, take a brush and outline the inside of that. That would be using it like a stencil. A little less, it could be effective, but there's also a little more margin for error if you do that. So a little bit smaller one here. I'm actually going to overlap it with one of these ones that I just made. Cool. And we'll do one more, a little bit even smaller. And I wouldn't recommend doing this with like oil paints. Oil paint is tough to clean up. You have to have special chemicals. I've never painted with oil paints, to be totally honest. I really enjoy watching Bob Ross paint, but I've never tried it myself. Eventually I will, but don't use oil paint to coat your cookie cutters. Cool, so one. We'll overlap it. Yeah. Sweet. Okay, so what we have going here now is 5. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rings. Just guidelines. Because, you know, this method is not meant to like be one and done. It's a guideline. It's to take the pressure off of trying to make a circle and making a decent guide for what you want. So we're going to switch now to like a small to medium brush. Smaller the better probably, but not itty bitty teeny tiny. This is small to medium. Thanks, Dimesh. Oh, would a darkish brown work for the landscape rings? Absolutely, yes. Darkish brown. If you have some red, mix in some red with that darkish brown. That'll be nice. Yeah. So with my small to medium brush, we're now going to beef up those rings. We'll just give them a little bit of thickness, and then we're going to give them little, almost like kind of the flowers in my hair, just like that kind of banana-shaped sprockets. The rings have those kind of canoes on the top of them. Whatever they are to you, they're there. And so we're going to fill out the rings and then add the little headpiece on top of the rings. So I'm going to start over here. Part of the reason I start over here and work this way is because if I started here, my palm would be going across all the things that I just painted. So I'm going to start over here and try to keep my palm away from the canvas. Of course, you always do, but it's less nerve-wracking. If you work with what your mama gave you, be you right-handed or left-handed, you might stand on that side of your easel. You might be sitting at a table and painting right in front of you, which is awesome. So here we go, filling in and thickening up our rings. And just follow the guide. If you experience some dry brushing, just lift off, grab more paint, and go back. I'm actually running low on my color again, so here we go. We're going to just do a quick mix and see what turns out. Hopefully a bit similar. Probably will be. And if it's not, that's okay. It just helps add the texture and makes it more organic. I'm also mixing two different brands of paint. They're both acrylic, but one of them comes out of these little squeezy tubes. And this one's really kind of thick. They're probably old as well, that I was gifted these from someone's grandmother's collection. And then my yellow paint, this is super runny for whatever reason. So I've got this real thick red and a real runny yellow that I'm mixing together for this pretty orange. It's turning out all right. So this one's looking pretty good, but since I made a new color, I'm going to make sure it's present in all of my rings. Also, you don't have to make these super perfectly circular and like smooth and clean. They can be a little organic and wiggly and wobbly because it's earth. It's a rock formation. They are not geometric. They're not man-made. You know, if we're making a monolith, we would be worried about that, but we're not. So if you have a little bit of an unsteady hand, I'd say go with it. And then once you've beefed up one of your rings, you're gonna give it a little whoop, whoop. I just do real quick little slashes there at the top for that headpiece stuff I was talking about, right? So we're gonna do that on all of our circles, almost like a flat bow, exactly like a flat bow. Christmas present. So weird fact about me, I like the smell of acrylic paint. So does Dimash. Amazing. I don't even know. Have I smelled it before? It does have a slight smell. It's kind of nice. I love the smell of fresh coffee table books. Like if you go to a gift shop at a museum or something, I love the smell of those books, those big picture books that go on your coffee table. Oh, I just love them. All right, we got another one. This one, I'm eyeballing a little bit. This is looking so cool. I'm loving it. So for the smaller circles, as they're basically retreating farther away from the perspective of the painter, I'm going to try to make the thickness of the ring a little less for each one as it goes back. So one of the cool things with blending a little bit darker of a color, you can even have some bit of red nearby to add in on the fly, is as you're bringing the rings down into the terrain. So we've got this strip of terrain that we're all kind of all the same color right now. So what happens down here where the ring has gone below the horizon line, you can take a little bit of that darker, like maybe just put a tip, like dip the tip of your brush in a darker red, and you can blend in a bit of a darker color where it's dipped below the horizon line. So it's still, the structure of that ring will still show against the terrain. So you can kind of see right here, I added a tiny bit of red to the tip of my brush and I blended with that orange below the horizon line, just so that the ring sticks out. And we can kind of see the full formation of it. I might even do a little darker on that. And that's also a feature we can use with our finishing touches, some highlights, some shadow, to even pop that a little more. But while that orangey red is still wet, is a good time to blend the red down there. So that you have the wet on wet ability to blend. If something dries a little too quickly, you were hoping to blend something, if you have a clean cup of water nearby or not too dirty, just dip your brush in the water, dab out excess water on your paper towel, And then you can reactivate paint that has already dried with just a little moisture. Remember, this does not have to be perfect. If your hand's a little bit shaky, that is all right. It'll probably put some cool effect on this. Now, in the reality of the game, not all the rings face the same direction. There's definitely offset rings. I'm going to attempt an offset ring. You do not have to. We'll see how I do. And if you want to add one, you can. I'm going to throw it in here way off in the distance behind this ring right here. And so this will just be a little bit more of a very thin oval. So like more egg-shaped. Not bad. I think his little top got a little out of hand maybe, but I can thin that out later. So yeah, if you want to attempt a few more oval-shaped ones, I think it was especially effective to make it look like it's off in the distance. You can go ahead and try that out. I think I'm only going to do that one. Maybe I'll do one more right here, and even smaller. Let's see. Yeah, cute. It's super fun. I like that a lot. And then it's fun because these two little oval guys, this is a fun art word I'll share with you today. They juxtapose each other. So they are similar shapes, but different sizes and near each other. They're also juxtaposed because they're both within another circle. So that's fun. A little art word for you today. Word of the day. I'm a Sesame Street kiddo, so word of the day is in my brain. And I just grabbed a little bit of that darker red to bring that ring shape below the horizon line on these ones over here. And I'm not going to worry about doing that dark red horizon line thing on those little ovals that I made. They're so far off in the distance, we're not really seeing where they connect to the earth. So I got to throw a couple more little head pieces on. Cool. It's all about the rings today, you guys. Looking good. God, I love how that periwinkle stands out. All right, so we're getting to the point where we're down to our finishing touches. So we're going to be using all of our small brushes now. It is looking really amazing. Oh, thank you. Those planetary rings are looking great. Yes, thank you again. Jesus, clouds really pop. I know. God, it's amazing. I love it. So I think what we'll do, the finishing touches, we'll just do a little bit of highlight and shadow. For every highlight, there is a shadow, because light makes shadow. So that darker reddish or brownish, whatever you've got going on, let's grab some of that on our palette. And if you want to throw a little bit of white into that orangey color that we've been using, we're going back to kind of that peachy, close to the sky color. Does not need to be perfectly the sky color, but it's the general idea that is the light that is being reflected off of things. And these are just finishing touches, so you want to use, this was what we just used. So that was medium to small. I would say small. We're going smaller. So literally, if you have some tiny brushes like this, itty bitty, teeny tiny. That's what we want, hopefully. And we're going to take the white that you blended into your orange. So you've got a peachy peach right here. We'll use the highlight on the right-hand side of the rings. So anywhere you imagine, so if your light source is over here, that it is hitting these land structures, the light will bounce off that side. So upright, basically. So I'm just lightly brushing on the edges of these shapes, lightly brushing some of that peachy color. On all of my rings. It's super subtle, you guys. I'm not putting a lot of pressure in the brush. Super lightly. Just reflecting the light off of the object. So I'm going to hold this up close to you in a moment, but I want to do a couple of them to explain. A little bit of dry brushing is okay at this point, because the light reflects in different ranges of color. It would be really cartoony if we did blocks of light reflection. That's definitely a style. It's not wrong. If that is your style, go for it. But I like to kind of have my light reflections be a little bit feathery. And if you make a mistake, don't panic. Let it dry. You can come back and touch it up later. So these are real subtle. We aren't even going to do this on the ones in the background. But you can sort of see on the right-hand side of all these rings, and even here, right there. So on the right-hand side of the inside of this ring, I popped a little bit of light reflection right there. And then boop, 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 little bit of light reflection just in those areas. This is kind of like if you've ever done any lettering and you wanted the letters to look like they aren't 2D and more 3D, so you throw in the shadows. Try to stay consistent as to which side of the letter that you're always putting that stuff on. So it's the same idea here. All of my highlights, the light's coming from this direction, so those highlights hit that side of whatever is reflecting the light or catching the light. And so that would be the same on the inside of the ring, but on the right side of that inside. And it's super subtle. Finishing touches should be subtle. They're just meant to give it a little more pop, reality. And then with a little bit darker color, my dark red, it could overtake really quickly if you do too much. So we're really, really going to go super subtle on the dark red. But this will be the other side where the light is not touching. So our shadows are going to be focused from here and kind of lower if the light is higher. So all I'm going to do really is just touch the bottom, left-hand side of the rings here. And I'm going to do a little bit of shadowing, just the slightest blend of shadowing on the ground. Little triangles of shadow. So I'll bring that close to you and show you the next ring in action. Whoa, man, we're getting close. So it's super subtle. You can't, it shouldn't stand out. This is to make the ring stand out, not to make what I'm doing stand out. So over here on this second ring, I'm just touching this bottom left-hand corner of the ring that's close to the earth. And then I'm bringing that shadow out in a little bit of a triangle shape and blending as I go in a kind of a dry brushing technique there. So same here, just the bottom left edge of the ring that's touching the ground, and then blending it out into some shadow on the earth. You can do that on all of our rings that are closer to the foreground. We'll leave these guys totally out of it. Well, let's see. They're in the back. I might do a little bit of darker stuff on them. Let's see. Oh, so tiny. I barely did anything there, but it helps. It just gives it a little pop. That might have been too much. That's all right. The ones in the distance can be a little bit darker. They're farther away, so we can't see as many details on them. Let's see. You can see how dry brushing can be really effective for things like this. We are just about done too. Just going to do a little bit more of the shadowing on these rings over here. There she is. It's so pretty. It turned out great. And again, if you did this at home, please don't compare yours to mine. You have your own unique artistic vibration, and it's going to come out on your canvas. And so I promise, put this on your wall, go to sleep tonight, look at it again tomorrow, and you're going to blow your own self away. Great job. Oh, thank you guys. Amaze. Dude, I'm mesmerized with watching Mad. Oh, thank you guys. Thanks for tuning in and filling up my comment thread. And I hope you enjoyed this landscape we did today. I freaking love these ring planets. They're so fun. Not to mention, I just want to fly. Don't you want to fly your little spaceship through here? Yeah. I'm thinking, all right, you guys, we're going to do one final thing here. Am I going to mess it up? I'm afraid I'm going to mess it up. Sometimes you just got to let it be and be done. Yeah, I'm going to leave it be. I was thinking we could put another ring in there, but we've already layered on some clouds and things. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm just excited to do another ring planet, I guess. So we will do another next week, Thursdays at 1 p.m. Come to my live stream. I'll always be here. But rewatch this again when you have all the right materials. Beautiful. Thank you, Planet Roo. Yay. Heck yeah, they're one of my favorite planets too. Yeah, I know. We have that in common. So yeah, if you guys have ideas for the next painting or you have some screenshots you love, send them my way. Pop a like on the video for today if you can. And we'll see you next time. We'll paint together and explore the universe. Bye.